cool with you being on camera, or do
Yeah.
you try to avoid that? Or
Nope.
I'm assuming he's here.
Especially if he, I mean, the biggest thing for our like style or what we try to catch is like the little geek out moments, the reactions. So the snakes are great, you know what I mean? But if you want to translate, it's got to be like,
you know, when you're talking to people, other breeders and whatever, and it's fun when you can tell they're excited.
Exactly.
The passion behind it. Yeah.
and so that's the number one thing that we want to catch besides any of that. So, all right. So there's actually, Mike, you reached out to me about coming in here because you knew we were coming in town, which was awesome. And thank you. And you're like, oh, you know, I don't know if you know who we are. And I was like, oh, I know exactly who you are. There's like 3 people I follow on Instagram because there's projects that I reach outside of my own little area of circumstance to like gain inspiration from. And you have a huge one. It's actually, so, I mean, you know how these double recessive projects work. For me, I've been about 15 years into this project, and you made them in your species before I could get them in mine. I'll tell you what it is in a minute. But I was like, that's it. That's the snake. Those are the colors. That's what I'm going for. And it's perfect. One cool parallel before we get into it is like the Pituophis stuff with the aneries. They have that yellow wash on them. So they hatch out black and silver gray. And then as they grow, they get a little bit of yellows in them, right?
Yep.
That's exactly what happens with retics. And in the beginning, everyone's like, no, I just want the black and silver. I don't want any yellow.
Yeah.
But as generations went on, it's like that little yellow tinge allows you an entirely new color palette to play with. It's been pretty
and then
cool.
you can line breed for that, and
Exactly. And
you
intensify.
can get that nice. Well, you can go 2 different directions, really.
Yes.
So
exactly.
that's a cool option.
Yeah. So can we show? Let's start with like, you have like just a standard old school albino gopher snake.
So this is the original bloodline of albino San Diego's right here. And this is a Bechtel albino.
And it's beautiful.
She's got some stripe in her, so she's got this spots and stripes. It's not very...
Even in this one, you can see a little bit of, can I hold her?
Yep.
You can see a little bit of the darkness up here at the neck where, so it's like a, you know, T positive versus T negative would be the way people talk about it, right? So this would be kind of the T negative version where the areas of the snake that would be black turn white. So reduces the amount of melanin they can produce. But I don't know, can you see it on camera? There's a little tiny bit of shadowing in the neck where the white is not quite white. It's almost like a blue-gray at the right direction. So this is super cool.
And the white comes in more as I get older.
Yeah. Now you've got kind of reds, browns in there, and then the yellows. So if we jump over to an anery, do you have a nice example of an anery that you can show us?
I have this adult over here.
Perfect. So albino and anery together is what's going to make the snow. Garrison, you look super entertained. Are you so entertained? Awesome. You want to take it out?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, so this would be the anery. Now, what's cool is it doesn't have, it's more like, I mean, you call it a gray snake instead of a brown snake, right? Where you got the grays and the silvers back here. But can you guys see that little remnant of yellow running through the neck up there? Perfectly gray head, silver eyes, remnant of the yellow. So these would be the 2 ingredients to make a snow if you want to sit down. How long does it take a female to grow up and breed?
3 years on average.
Okay, so at the, you know, with a lot of the superdors, it might be more like 4.
Okay.
Stubborn ones, 5, drives you crazy.
Yeah, I get a lot of 4-year stuff.
Yeah, so it takes a long time and insurmountable odds in the beginning to hit that double recessive stuff, right?
Yep, it does. It's a numbers game for sure.
Yeah, so the weird colors that are left in here really could make some pretty cool snows. Now, I don't think you have regular snow, do you?
Yeah.
You do? Okay, from the old school albino in the anery? All right, perfect.
It may have some T positive in it too. I think, well, it does.
So they have a T-pos, T-negative that works like... Go ahead.
We do have a T-negative snow.
Okay. Yeah, let's check it out. I want to show.
Yeah.
So there's multiple lines in these, and this is really where my inspiration is starting to come from. Because you have a T positive and a T negative that you can breed together and make visuals.
Here's your T negative.
Yeah, that's it. That's the snow. This looks exactly like a snow retic too. So
It's a striper too.
We already are not doing our B-roll thing I said I should get, but this is exactly what a snow retic looks like, where you can see this white on white pattern, but then it's got yellow in there. And it's almost like a highlighter yellow,
Yeah.
bordering slightly on green. And like you said, that's where the selective breeding can come
And
from.
so yeah, you will get some green snows when you get a double albino and an anery.
So when you're
And
saying
they hatch out like normal, and then as they grow, that green just kind of comes in.
peaks at about 2 years old,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah, exactly the same. So here's the deal. Their albino would be like a Clark strain albino. It's almost a lavender. It's in there. You can see little bits in there. It's kind of like a lavender albino retic. But the T positive line he's working with is like a mocha in a retic. And when you're saying double albino, so in our house snakes, double albino is like 2 recessive genes stacked.
Yeah.
But in retics, it's actually allelic, where it's a visual albino from the 2 lines in the first generation.
Okay.
And we would call that a mochino. That's what a lot of people are familiar with. So I was like desperately wanting to make a mochino snow and then a mocha snow. And you beat me to it on both accounts. So can we see, this is a T negative, also snow, so it's anery. But can you show us one of the albinos? They're called Dyer line albinos, is that correct?
Yep. And we got a couple really nice examples. I got one over here that glows in the dark.
We like the ones that glow in the dark. That's
This-
it's okay
this
with me.
thing is-
I don't know about you.
Where is he?
Like, no, that's the ugly one.
Okay, it's right here.
Oh, wow. Yeah, no kidding. Look at that. Oh, really? So check this thing out. Compared to that other albino where it had just a hint of lav going, if you got the camera in exactly the right position, this one here is like super, super dark. So they would call this a T positive, which basically means it's an albino, but there's a protein it's able to still synthesize and get a little bit of melanin where it would normally be white. And you've got this crazy dark pattern. So immediately when I see this and these deep, rich, crazy dark colors and all the red in there, I'm like, what if you take the red out? You're not getting a white on white snake anymore where you can still see the pattern like a moonglow boa or something.
Yeah.
I think you're getting something much more interesting because it's like 50 shades of gray. It's like half tones and unnatural colors that aren't normally there, you know? You're right. That sucker glows in the dark.
And don't forget that Pituophis is just like your retics in the sense that these colors aren't what you end up with.
Yeah, they get better.
They get
And there's
better as they get older.
The stripy one. Look at that. Okay, so you're playing with the pattern too. So this would be like a tiger retic, or tiger mocha. And you can see those dark. Hi, look at him standing up. You're very cute. I love it. I love it. And some of these areas here.
And there's his brother. It's not as nice, but
Oh, it's cool because you got the stripe and the non-stripe. Come here, buddy. Look at that. Oh, I love it. Okay, hold on. We got to get up here real close for a second because these are the kinds of colors that you can't define them. There's not a crayon in the box
hard
for that.
And it's hard to capture.
And they're translucent and they're wild. And you could stare at them all day. You guys have got to see these in person. Yeah, you're right. This is very hard to capture. Look at that. So cool. You like that one, Garrison?
Yeah.
Which one do you like better, striped or spotted?
Spotted.
You like the spotted? It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I bet Finley would like this guy better.
You want to hold that one?
No.
What? Come on, they're all bark, no bite.
Yeah.
Gotcha, huh? They talk a lot. They're actually named after that.
Better safe than sorry.
Yeah.
You're used to pythons at home. Have you been bitten by the pythons yet?
Yes.
Oh, this is nothing then.
Yeah, these don't even break the
You
skin.
won't even notice.
I'm
this.
telling you, these ones have way more attitude. They scare all my retic guys. You know, the pythons, if they're gonna eat, watch out. Otherwise, they're fine. These ones like, hey, and you're like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. All right, so this is where it was at. I saw these snakes. You had made these things. They were absolutely incredible, and you originally called them Envy Snow.
Yep.
right? After the business. Can we see one of these?
Yeah.
Watch
we
this,
have-
watch this. So you saw the T negative snow already.
We have
Holy crap,
a
you
couple of them
guys.
here.
Look at that snake.
And when you know you got good ones, when you can see that those blotches don't fade, they stay bold.
Stay
like
bold
that.
and dark towards
Yep.
all the way to the back. So you got a lot of
They're
T.
naturally gonna fade a little bit,
This.
but some of them fade completely.
Well, so here's the thing is where it fades, it's blue. You can't get blue. Blue is not one of the pigments of any Pituophis animal, right?
Look at those eyes too.
I'll try.
So,
Come here, little one.
he wants to get you.
There it is. Oh, it's so cool. Look like Superman, blue and red. But then you have, on top of all the purples, you can already see that just barely hint of yellow, tiny stripe there down the center that starts to come out. So this is incredible. So you were the first to go ahead and produce these guys, and then you had the combos of the lines and everything like that. And this is what my Mochino project. So it would be the T positive and T negative albino together with the Ennery. That's as far as we've gotten.
Okay.
I haven't made the straight T positive version like this yet.
Okay.
So this is a glimpse into this. This would be like the mocha snow. We have Mochino snows. Go ahead.
Yeah. And then, like we talked about earlier, like I've had adults with no yellow in them. Well, virtually no yellow, and
Yeah.
they're just purple and white.
Yeah. So I think like for us, we use locality
I
to
like
do that
both.
a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you lean into the Calato or you lean into the Coyote Island, and those are like two opposite. Look how incredible that animal is.
And remember too, gopher snakes typically have very patterned heads, and now you've got a plain head that's white,
Yeah, this
and
is
that
amazing.
white head remains into adulthood.
So one of the things that I love the most about this is the contrast, the dark and light, right?
Yeah.
But then when we bred them into a patternless animal, right, which is kind of like your stripers
Yeah.
there, which
Yeah.
for us is a golden child, and it's sort of a melanistic patternless. It had these weird mixes. I said it looked like a bruise or rotten flesh, greens and purples.
That's awesome.
And so we named it a zombie snow.
It's like it's rotting or something.
Yeah, it looks like it. Yeah, it's almost like when you see those brilliant red and yellow and stuff, people love them. But when you get these dark, kind of shadowy, smoky, you know, and
I
then
love that.
rotten,
Yeah.
bruising, it's
Yeah,
just
that's cool.
next level. It's almost easy to make a bright colored snake. You can perfect it forever, you
Yeah.
know. But to make this is just unnatural, absolutely unnatural. How much do these go for?
400. I mean,
Oh,
I think some people sell them for $5, but
I think our first ones were like 15,000 because I was so frustrated at how long it took.
well, yeah. Plus, you're dealing with pythons, and they're always more.
Man, I can't believe that though. This thing is this not the coolest snake that you've seen? And again, this is the straight T positive version, so I haven't even gotten this far yet. I have my mochas that are head Ennery, in dwarf and super dwarf. But that's the other side is we're breeding in 3 dimensions. I have a minimum that I won't go past. It's
Okay.
easier to make the morphs quicker if you go for really big bloodlines because that's where all the morphs are coming from.
Oh, okay.
But I don't go past a certain size.
I
So I'm
get
like,
it.
it takes me 10 years longer than everyone else.
So those clutch sizes are smaller in this. Is that
Clutch
what you're
sizes
saying?
are smaller,
Okay.
snakes are smaller. So instead of getting 80
Interesting.
eggs, I'm getting 8.
That's
you know?
pretty cool.
Yeah.
I never thought about that
I
with
never
the
either.
dwarfs. So you're
Yeah, I
only,
never thought
you know,
of that
8 to
either.
10 eggs.
So it's one thing if you make, let's say you're making this, you make a bunch of pos hets. It's always a pain to figure out what to do with those.
Yeah.
So like, I don't want to really give the genetics away. It's not desirable enough without being 100% het that I can really charge what it's worth. But imagine if your
Clutch sizes are
steps, like the steps to get there was like, okay, instead of selling a snake that someone can feed a rat to and keep in an enclosure in their living room, they now have to give it the living room because I'm not there
Yeah.
yet. So that third dimension will kill you if you're trying to not make unwanted snakes.
Yeah, and all those babies, if you have those large clutches, and then it's like, well, these kind of they're not worthless per se, but like, they're not what you're after.
No, they're in
hats.
this weird area of the
That's a
market
pos
where
hats, like
it's
they're-
too big
yeah.
for someone to love it responsibly long time for 99.9% of the people to
Yeah.
love it as a pet. And it's not valuable enough for somebody to invest and give it what it needs. So they're just retics are amazing snakes. They generally don't make good pets unless you can keep them small with super dwarfs.
And so, yeah, I'm just thinking like with the smaller clutch sizes, those little possets are actually more valuable because there's not so many of them.
Right.
And I love keeping back possets, and they usually pan out for
Yeah.
me.
Oh, well, I mean, they do plenty enough, especially if it's a really good bloodline. You almost don't care if it doesn't have one or the other. You can always put that back, but it's hard to get that 4 generations of selective breeding in there more than a morph to just go, got it, you know?
Exactly.
So that's incredible.
That's
Can we see a like, now that we've seen the hatchling, you guys want to see an adult? Can we see an adult?
Oh, yeah.
You want to bring it out?
Yeah.
This is, I hope you guys are enjoying us just like geeking out.
Oh, I
This kind of stuff because
I geek out on this. So.
well, you are and I am, and that's why I have a YouTube channel that's not as big as some others, but it's the good stuff. It's the good stuff.
Quality over quantity.
And we can hold her.
Look at that. Okay, so you see the white head and the dark pattern. I don't know, you're going to have to get real close on this. Check out the difference between the gray backgrounds, hi honey, and the yellows coming through. We're talking about those yellows that develop over with age. You get that yellow tinge on them, and it's where the green comes from is where you get the purple and the yellow to mix on one scale. Now it's like green or blue or whatever. Jason, I don't know if you can show them her eyes too.
Yeah.
Her eyes and even the tongue. Absolutely. This is one of the coolest looking snakes. So this is my inspiration here, is this project that you've done with these T-positive snows. Because they look and develop like a retic, there's nothing else quite like them. Honestly, they're not far off from my Super Dwarf retics. You're even not too far off size-wise. Yours are a little smaller. But a lot of my breeder males are this size, you know. But to see what you guys have been able to do with these so much faster than what I've been able to do with the retics, it's like, that's it. That's what we want to do. So knowing how my morphs work and tweak the animals and the look of them and yours, and also that these have a very similar natural color palette where they have reds in them, right? That make brown snakes for the wild. You start pulling that out, you can get from very orange snakes to this kind of stuff. It's so cool.
Yeah, and
that's the mocha snow, guys. Are you seeing that? That's a mocha snow. And if you wanted in retics, we tweaked it, took liberties with the name a little bit, but the zombie snow is the golden child that mixes it all
those
together.
eyes. That's what's
Isn't
cool,
it
too.
stunning? Yeah. They look like amethysts or something. Ah, so cool. That's awesome. It's just so cool to see. Like, I can truly appreciate the journey. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
what it
and
took to get there.
And these guys have been around for a minute now.
Yeah.
It's been
So how long was this project start to finish?
Oh,
It was at least a decade, right?
it wasn't.
Not quite?
It was, I would probably say 6 years.
6 years of an idea of what
7 years.
And I have these to look at, and you didn't. You know what I mean? But I think that's a awesome. So, okay, let me ask you this. Let's go to the next level. Now that you've made these, let's say you could pop out those Envy snows, right? In any project you want. What's next for that project? Where do you, once you've achieved that, where can you even go?
I mean, we've already done stripers. They've been done. The stripers were just as common as the blotched.
Yeah.
So even though this striping's recessive.
So
I
taking the same color palette and running it into different patterns.
Yeah, and I haven't done a patternless or anything like that with them.
So the patternless would be what we call the zombie snow.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you'll like it.
Yeah.
It's different. It doesn't have the contrast, but the
I mean,
colors
it
are
will take
weird.
out that. It'll take out those lavenders and purples and blues and stuff, but
What it
still
does,
be cool.
it mixes them in there.
Which
well, at
will
least
be-
with my species.
The thing that will be, I think, in my mind, if visualizing that, what would be cool is, you still got those, not pink eyes, but those cool eyes.
Yeah, like they're like purple and white
Yeah.
at the same time. Yeah.
So on a patternless snake, yellow
Yes.
snake, that would be pretty sweet.
Yeah. Well, and with ours, what you get is you think it takes it away and you don't have the cool purples anymore, but it's almost like the purple and the yellow stacked. And then you get different versions of
Okay.
it throughout the pattern. So it's like more green, more gray. and that's where it looks like this gnarly, rotten corpse or something. It's pretty wild. So I think you'll actually like it.
Yeah.
You have some white sides with those silvery eyes, don't you?
Not in the San Diegos.
In the bulls.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, in the San Diegos, there's not a lot more we can do right now. Like, there's just, we need maybe a true hypo. We maybe need, like, you know, a melanistic or something to come out.
Yes.
That's what's so,
You need a new morph.
you know what's cool about what I do is, like, these snakes live in our backyard. Like,
Yes.
and so a morph could be caught any day.
It's almost cooler. It's like koi, like it's a carp. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
if you've, like, the value is not from the animal. Like, super dwarves are crazy and rare, exotic, awesome snakes on their own.
Yeah.
So the value's already there. It's almost more fun to take something that cruises through the backyard and, like, you know what I mean? No one would pay for one of those in your neighborhood, you know? But all the value is what you put into it.
And there was a wild-caught white-sided in the San Diegos, and Rick Trini had it with Renegade Reptiles. And after he passed, that collection got liquidized, and
Is that what happened to it? I remember that
Yeah,
stuff.
and-
Because he did a lot of tricolor stuff too, didn't
yeah,
he? Yeah.
he did stuff, a lot of stuff, different stuff, and that's unfortunately that whiteside got lost somewhere. But that would have been cool to do in there, you know.
Yeah.
That would have been
Well,
cool.
last year at Pomona, Bob Applegate told us about the origin stories of the Applegate albinos, and that was a wild-caught snake in somebody's driveway.
Yeah.
Wow.
And Bob didn't even realize for, a year or two that it was anything special, but as it got older,
Yeah.
he, of course, recognized, okay, this is a snake I got to hang on to.
You know what I always thought was funny? So I like localities and anything anyway. When we talk localities and super dwarfs, they're like this tiny remote island that few people have ever visited.
Yeah.
When you talk localities and like our African house snakes, they're literally named after like cities and neighborhoods.
Little
Because that's where
towns
they
and
all
stuff,
come
yeah.
from. They're called house snakes. Like,
Yeah.
I caught it in my house. So it's like literally like an East of London locality. That's like a downtown area. That's the locality that they come. Speaking of which, you have house snakes.
Yeah.
Can I see it?
Yep.
Yeah. That,
We have a couple, but unfortunately the real pretty one is in, she's in shed.
you knew I was coming.
Yeah.
You checked it already. Whoa, look at that big thing. Hi, honey. That's a monster.
She's a big one.
How old is she?
Oh, she's 4 years old, 5 years old.
No, she's huge.
Yeah, when she gets really huge, she'll eat a couple mice at a time,
Yeah, I bet.
and yeah,
Now, is this a T negative albino?
yeah, or T positive.
T positive. Okay. It's hard to tell because she's so in blue.
T negatives popped out of there.
They
pop out.
I have had so many surprises because all the original stuff was all bred together, right?
Yeah, I don't think that's a
Very
big deal.
strong striping on her up towards the front here. This is pretty cool. When you breed them into like a higher patterned variety, this makes like a barbed wire.
Oh,
When you have that cool stripe that goes
Really?
down the side. So a
Nice.
lot of the eastern, like I say, East London is almost striped all the way down. So, and then when you breed like the higher patterns where you get a lot of blotching and stuff,
yeah.
which is just a selectively bred
So,
thing.
so if like I wanted to play with these, if like I didn't know, like if I pop out a couple high pattern ones, hold those back.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. And you'll make more.
Okay.
For sure.
Cool.
Yeah, the
That's
polygenics
good to
breed
know.
true.
I didn't know if that was the case, but yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
When we have two girls here, and then this is the other girl. And then,
Is this a teapot? Whoa,
yeah.
there's the house snake part for you. Come here. Less likely to bite, but you got to be quick. Little paratroopers. This is a T positive as well.
Yeah, at least that's what it was sold to me as.
Let me see. It's so funny because a lot of them, they look very much alike, and you have to look at the slit of the... Yeah, this looks like a T positive. Most of my T positive projects have now been bred into... KwaZulu-Natal is one of the few areas that's not like a real urban area. It's like a natural park. It's basically Kruger National Park.
Okay.
And those are like the brick red ones.
Okay.
So we get insane reds
Neat.
out of these. Yeah. Yeah, you've got pattern in these bloodlines for sure. It's just muted.
And he's full grown.
Yep. Now that's you're getting
He's
some
darker,
red there.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, much more red.
I don't know why he loves
Exactly.
sitting in
In
that
that
dish.
You know what? They like everything tiny.
Yeah.
Like little, they love wedging themselves in there, burrowing in. Yeah, that's a big house snake. Probably 10% or less of my breeder females are that big.
Really?
Yeah, and this is smaller than the other one. These are some big house snakes.
That one, when she's gravid, she's just massive.
Yeah.
It's pretty impressive.
Yeah,
And
you
her
could
colors,
definitely-
her colors are way better than that one.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's pretty cool. Oh, really?
Yeah. Quit nip.
That's funny. So cool. That's awesome, man. So yeah, great minds think alike, even when it comes to having house snakes that no one else has.
Yeah, I just wanted something new to play with. Like
We
you get tired of seeing the same colors.
That's it.
we think they should be the next big thing,
These are actually
and
very,
people
very
love
cool.
small snakes.
I have noticed the last couple of years I used to when I first started breeding these, they were harder to sell, but the last couple of years, all of a sudden, they're kind of
Garrett Hartle already bought everything.
But I mean, just even the local shows and stuff. People are becoming more aware.
They're
of this.
figuring it out.
Yeah.
Actually, several of the very large breeders are trying to get into it too. Which,
Are they?
yeah,
Okay.
which is great. I mean, there will be cool availability for everyone, but as a breeder, it blows it wide open when they're like, "I made 100 million," you know.
That's not fun.
And the market needs them, but it's the initial discovery of what all these new combos and different bloodlines. Oh, hi, honey. Are like and everything. There's so much to do in house snakes. So they've got different species, different localities, different morphs, different everything, you know. So very cool. And you can even breed for body structure, head type, eye size.
Okay.
You know, unlike any other species ever really worked. Crested geckos probably have that. You see the wild ones, they look weird and thin, and the captive ones are like wide and derpy, and but you get that naturally in house snakes. It starts out
cool
like
that. You
that.
can get different eye sizes.
Oh, the eye size is a big one that we're
That's
breeding
pretty
for.
neat.
Because the big, like this one's got your standard eye sizes. We have there's a bug eye species of house snake.
Yeah.
But I have bug eye capes where we just bred for giant
Okay.
eye sizes.
Okay.
And put those lines together. It's pretty fun. They're like
That is
extra
neat.
cute. You know, any short nose, big eyes.
and they fit what you're doing because they look a little like pythons, and
They're-
they've got
they're-
those
yeah.
python eyes.
They're very much like little Burmese or Antaresia or something, and they tame down like that if you just work with them for 2 seconds, you know.
Yeah.
So
I never hold these.
no, we have so many. I hold them all, but it's like gotta touch them all.
Yeah.
But they still don't get a lot. But you take them home like a kid as a pet. They're
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
Hold on. Had a cold a couple weeks ago.
Very cool. Yeah, that's it. And these 2 big females. So you have a T positive that popped out T negatives, or this one did.
That one, the big one did.
So they're different. You can be fully T negative and fully T positive at the same time.
Yeah, this is one of them that popped. This is one that popped out.
And then you can have a visual T positive that's het for T negative and vice versa.
This is the T negative that popped out.
That's a double albino.
That's a double. Okay.
That's a T positive and a T. It's
So
a
I
double
was-
homozygous, like a
Okay.
snow, but with 2 albino
Okay,
ones.
so I was wrong.
Yeah. But no, well, you were right,
Kind
but
of.
it's more than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, which makes sense because you bred these 2 together.
Mhm.
Yeah, so those are both T positives. So when you get they all have to be T
all
positive.
has to be, yeah. Okay.
But that one is also T
Gotcha.
negative. So that's what the industry term for that with house snakes would be a stacked albino,
okay.
not allelic whatsoever.
Stacked. Okay.
Stacked.
Good to know.
Yep. So
Brilliant.
that's actually a pretty stinking cool snake.
So that may be a holdback.
Oh, this is a holdback.
Yeah, he's got
That's
it
a
over here.
pretty neat animal to work with. Actually, is the stacked albino. So
That's
it's probably the most achievable double recessive that you can
learning
get.
stuff. I'm still learning.
Yeah, yeah, that's great.
Cool.
You can see it from a mile away because it actually looks like an albino.
Yeah.
Even the T negatives, they look like kind of like a caramel or something.
Yeah.
Other than the Bushveld line, which nobody has yet, but you saw them with the blazing
Yeah.
orange eyes, like super bright.
Those are awesome.
That's the Bushveld albino
Okay.
line. Yeah. This is
Yeah.
cool stuff,
That's
man.
a cool video. Like, I enjoyed that.
That's awesome. Well, I
yeah.
have very much enjoyed going through. I mean, Pituophis was like my childhood. It's what I was allowed to have until my mom caught me, you know?
Well, when you're a kid, you know, and that's like you're catching. Like I remember it, like growing up here, and garter snakes are everywhere, and then gopher snakes are just as maybe even more popular or common, but There's something about
They're
gopher
big
snake.
and
It's just
bad, and
the
yeah.
color, and they can hold it, and it's power. You can feel the power.
It's
in their
like
body.
seeing a deer and seeing a bison. You know what I mean? It's just like, oh,
An elk or whatever. Yeah,
That's
It's
it. That's it. Yeah.
But yeah, I remember as a kid finding the first gopher snake, and it was just like big 4.5 footer, and it's just strong, and it eats every time.
Yeah, exactly.
Super cool.
Very cool.
Jason was fortunate because one of the legends in the colubrid world, Rick Blair, lived near him
Nice.
and
introduced him to the Pituophis world.
That's very
Yeah,
cool.
So
even
he had
though he
one of the-
wasn't really a pit guy, but he just had a
Yeah.
few, and I was a Lampropeltis guy, and
You had one other snake we should show really quick just because it was so cool. This is the one that looked like the Baird's rat, I said.
okay.
You know what I'm talking about? Can we see that snake?
Yeah.
I got one more special one for you guys. And honestly, anything that you want to show. But
Yeah, we can show stuff off.
We should show the
got-
one your son
got
has
both.
actually held,
yeah,
the long-botched gray band.
that is cool.
I'm gonna go wash my hands real quick. Is
Yep.
that cool?
Yeah.